Hi Scrapbookers, this is Megan and I am back with another layout today. For this one I'm going to be using this page and I'm going to scrap lift it. I'm not going to use as many photos as are on that page, but I did want to get a lot of photos done on this one page. So I thought that page would be a good one to scrap lift. So here I am just picking out which papers I want to use. And today is my first video for Tacos Tuesday, which is an abbreviation for Totally Awesome Cuts on the Silhouette. And today it's actually just going to be a couple of little labels. So it's not something that I created specifically for this layout. I already had it in my stash. I already had the cuts in my stash. But hopefully after, this week, I will do layouts to actually go for this challenge of using my silhouette. Okay, so here I'm going to start cutting down these photos and just cutting off. I'm cutting off as much as I can because I know there's a lot of photos and I want to be able to use all of them. And at this point, I don't really have any idea of where they are going to go on the layout. I am just cutting them down. I don't really need all of the excess, so I am okay with cutting it all off. Now that I'm done with cutting the images, I'm going to mat the photos on just some plain white paper. And right now I am trying to place them down on the layout just to get an idea of where I want them to go, and so that I know how big I want the mat to be behind the photos. And at this point, I'm not really sure if I'm going to use all of these images on this one layout. I am just trying to figure out where they will all fit the best. So here now I am going to start putting down the papers on the mats. And I'm not doing a very large mat on these photos, just very teeny border. So yeah, basically I'm just going to spend a lot of time cutting down these mats and gluing down the photos and everything. Okay, so I think that's the last photo. And now I'm going to start pulling out all of the pattern papers that I want to use. Here I'm just referencing the scrap lift page that I'm going to be using. I had a bunch of scraps, so I'm trying to use up some of those scraps Here I'm just going through more papers, trying to figure out which ones I want to use. Here I'm just kind of cutting up pieces of paper, and I am trying to make a triangle, I think, to do like a little decorative chevron. So I'm going to do that, a few different arrows like that. Okay, so now that I got all those chevron pieces placed on the layout where I'm thinking I want them, I decide to use this scrap piece of red paper and cut out some half circles. So I'm going to place those 3 right there. Oh, 4, those 4 right there on the side of that paper. And I went to look for another piece of red paper that I wanted to use, and I found this nice pattern paper, and it's just plain red on the back, and then it's got kind of like a flower on it, I think, on the front. So here I'm tapping my fingers. I don't know if you could tell that I was doing that, but I was tapping my fingers trying to figure out what paper I want to use on the background. And so I'm going to put this ledger paper back behind those photos. Then I'm also going to cut up this red paper. And that is going to go right there, coming from the bottom and going up to the top. Now here I'm going to start gluing down all of these images to the papers. And then I'm going to glue this red paper to that ledger paper, and then I'm going to glue all of those to the background. And I kind of just fuss around with the placement of these photos and everything on there for a while, and then I'm going to start gluing down these circles. And I decide to cut that little triangle in half, make it not so big. And then I glue down the photo. And now I'm going to place a couple of these half circles over on the other side of the layout. And then I'm going to glue them down. So now I've got all of those in place. I am thinking I'm going to put this green paper underneath those photos. And so I glue that down. And then I'm going to glue down the photos. And I kind of debated on the position to put those last two photos on, but I finally decided that I like that. And now I'm trying to figure out if I really want to put down those other little arrow chevron pieces, but I decide not to. So I put them out of the way, and then I'm going to pull out this alpha sheet, and I'm going to use those red little alphas in the bottom right hand corner, and the title is just going to be present. And this is actually a 2-page spread, but I am not going to show you the second page today. I will actually show it to you next week for my Tacos Tuesday post. So I know you are going to be held in such suspense waiting to figure out what the next, like what the second page looks like. So anyway, so I had that be say present as the title, and here I'm just looking at my phone for the layout that I'm scrap lifting, and this is where I am going to pull out a couple different things. So first I have this Merry Christmas wood veneer, and I thought it would look really nice if I used a couple other embellishments with that, and this is where I decide to pull out those pre-cut silhouette cuts that I've made before. So here I have this white little label, and I cut it in half, and I'm going to do the edges with this Stampin' Up! Green. I believe it's Glorious Green, and I just don't really like that. So what I'm going to end up doing is, I think I'm going to spray it or something. I try putting the ink all over it, and I just don't really like that either. It's just not the right color of green to go with the layout. So I pull out this Citron Heidi Swapp spray, and I'm going to spray it. And I really, really like how that turns out. So I'm just kind of playing around with that. I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. I'm also going to grab this other one that I did. Oh, I guess I sprayed a little bit more. Sorry, I'm not really sure where I stepped off to. So here I'm using that excess spray and I'm going to color that, and I really like how that turned out with the darker green stamp pad and then the spray on top of it. So now I'm going to let those dry. I'm also going to spray that Merry Christmas and then I'm going to have to let that dry too. So here's where I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll leave it the wood veneer, maybe I won't. But then I pull out my little spray box and I decide to spray it with the citron color. I don't like wasting, and so I just pulled out another wood veneer piece, and I had a couple pieces that I just kind of put the excess spray on. Okay, so here now that that is dry, I'm going to pull out my glossy accents and I'm going to go over top of it. I believe that's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure what I went off to do there. Yeah, see, okay. See, I kind of do remember these things. I did this layout back in, oh gosh, I don't even remember. I think it was in March, I think. Yeah, so, and my memory's really bad. So here I'm just going to add that glossy accents to kind of make it a little bit more interesting of a little embellishment. So, and I'm coming to the bottom of my glossy accents, so it kind of took a while to get it to work. But I got it done and I'm going to put that aside and finish up the rest of the layout. No, I think I stopped the video. That's what I did. So here I came back after they were all dry, and I'm going to place them in those two positions on the layout. Here I'm using my Tombow Aqua Glue to glue down that Merry Christmas wood veneer. And I'm going to pull out my rotary stamps and use them on these two labels, just putting the date and a little saying, I think, on one of them. So I'm going to use this black ink pad from Stampin' Up, and I did practice because I wanted to make sure that I had it the right way. So I put the date and a little saying next to it, and then I just wipe it off with a baby wipe. Then I had this, I think this one is from Dear Lizzie, and I'm just going to stamp the best, I think is what it says. And I just stamp it a few times. And that is the end of this layout. So thanks so much for watching, and come again next week, next Tuesday, to see the second page to this layout. Bye.